Jessica Gomez is the founder and CEO of Rogue Valley Micro Devices, the first microelectronics manufacturing company in Southern Oregon. Jessica developed a love for high-tech entrepreneurship after holding positions at Standard Microsystems in the 1990s, then Integrated Micro Machines in 2001. In 2003, Jessica relocated to Southern Oregon and founded Rogue Valley Micro Devices, Inc. Jessica is an active member of the community and is dedicated to supporting economic development. She serves on the Oregon Institute of Technology Board of Trustees, was appointed by the governor to serve on the Oregon Business Development Commission, serves on the Oregon Business Council's Board of Directors, the Chamber of Medford-Jackson County, and chairs the Rogue Workforce Partnership. So you can see why she's very busy and rushing over here. Jessica's married and is the mother of 2 daughters. She was recently nominated by the Republican and Independent parties for Oregon Senate District 3. While she did not win that race, she's still very dedicated to talking, learning, sharing, and being active with Southern Oregonians. So please welcome Jessica.
All right. Just a big thank you for sticking around this long and waiting for me to figure out where I was going. I actually went to the Higher Ed Center in downtown Medford first, and then to Stevenson Union. So it took me a little bit. I'll talk a little bit about the company and what we do, and then I'll give you a little bit of a synopsis of how we started and kind of my personal career path, because it's a little bit, I would say, untraditional. So our company makes microchips. We work with a lot of startups. So we're about 25 people, which is not big enough to be one of these large-scale manufacturers like what you see Intel does, but we have the same basic manufacturing equipment. We have a clean room where you get dressed up in the bunny suits and everything, and we handle silicon wafers. The types of companies that we work with are startups. We work with mid-sized companies. We even work with large companies, but we work with their R&D teams. So they were coming, they're bringing their designs to us, and then we're helping them to figure out how we actually make that into a functional device. Because a design doesn't mean a functional chip, right? You have it on the computer, you've got to figure out how to make it into that physical item. And in MEMS, which is what we do, it's micro electromechanical systems. It's basically a chip that has moving parts. It's more of a 3D process, so it takes a little bit more effort to figure out how to actually go from zero and concept to getting data out of that chip. Let me grab some water. I was running. Some of the technology that we're working on right now is LiDAR. So if there's anybody interested in cars and what's happening with autonomous vehicles, there's a big push in the tech industry to help to figure out what are the sensor systems needed in the car to actually be able to be completely autonomous. So there's a few different levels of that. Level 1 or 2, which is what we have now in the new cars. They're lane keeping assist. They'll do, all the sort of light type of management of the cars, but fully autonomous is no steering wheel. The other area that I see growing a lot is in smart medtech. So I would say about 8 to 10 years ago, we started to see a trend where companies were coming to us. They had some pretty simplistic designs, but what they were doing is they were taking these chip designs and they were marrying it with biotechnology for medical applications. So now we're working on a chip that can do early cancer diagnostics. So with a prick of blood, it can tell you whether or not you have cancer present in your body. There's a lot of activity of that going through the FDA process, which can be pretty arduous for a lot of our customers. We also make a air quality sensor, which is pretty interesting. So the company that we're working with, the name of it is Airnos, and they've developed a nanotechnology-enabled air quality sensor that you can put in a wearable like an iWatch and be able to monitor all of the environments that you're in. So they're doing a study with Children's Hospital in LA to measure environmental impacts with pregnant mamas and babies to see whether or not our environment and is how that's impacting our health. So there's lots and lots of stuff happening in technology. And as we grow the company, we're getting those opportunities to grow along with our customers. The challenge really has been on the workforce side for us. So with 25 people, we hire engineers. So we hire chemical and mechanical engineers. We also are training all of those people from scratch. So even though you may graduate with a mechanical engineering degree or a chemical engineering degree, it doesn't mean you know the ins and outs of processing wafers. So we start everybody from basic training, how to pick up a wafer. So a wafer kind of looks like a shiny mirror, right? It's really fragile. There's special handling tools. There's special chemistries that it's sensitive to. And learning that process might take, 6 months. Could take a year to really feel comfortable with that type of work. And so even with our engineers, we start them at that base level and they learn what our process technicians are learning. So they have a really good understanding of what the manufacturing process is. Those people can be tough to find. We're pulling a lot, we try to stay in Oregon, so we're pulling a lot out of Oregon Tech and Oregon State. They've got some great engineering programs there. The other areas of the company that we need support in is like marketing and technical sales, and even things like process management. So from a software and a management perspective, being able to schedule the work, being able to sort of collect data, quality control is a big issue for us. And so as we grow, those are things I'll be looking to folks like you to help fill those positions, knowing that we don't expect people to come in with those skill sets to be able to work for us. So we have pretty robust training programs. The company was started, it's got to be 15 or 16 years ago now. My husband and I are both from Long Island, so we had worked in the industry. I started out as a student at community college. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. I thought maybe healthcare, I thought maybe software development, but I was going part-time to school. I wouldn't say I was a great student, and I ended up having to switch from going full-time to school to going part-time so I could afford gas and all the basic necessities of life. And a friend of mine, a friend of a friend said, hey, I know this company, they're looking to bring in some, production people. It's only minimum wage, but I think, it's full-time work and I might be able to get you in there. I'll put in the good work. And he did that. And I ended up starting at this company. I was making $7.10 an hour, I think, when I started there. And I absolutely know nothing. The HR person came in and she brought out the clean room outfit and said I would be working in an area called vacuum. And I'm thinking, am I going to be vacuuming the floor in this outfit? I'm not sure what this is. And I actually didn't think I would make it through the first week. I took my first time I was able to handle silicon by myself. I took a big cassette of it. It's probably worth more than $5,000 and I dumped it out on the table by accident. So I thought I would get fired from that. But I slowly really got more interested in what I was doing. I would say that job is what really kicked off the rest of my career. I met a lot of really amazing people. I learned how to run all the different pieces of equipment. I actually met my husband there, and later on both of us ended up being recruited out to a company in Southern California. That was a really, really cool experience. It was your typical Silicon Valley experience where you're working really, really early in the morning and you're there at 6:30, somebody brings in a load of pizza and beer and you end up staying at work because there's food. But it doesn't last very long is what we found out. Most tech companies are, they're fast up and even faster down. And so in about 3 years after moving to California, starting at that company, they ended up going out of business. And when we started to reevaluate what we wanted for our lives, that's when we decided, well, at least if we're going to be, going up and down like this all the time, we want to be the ones in charge, right? And so we decided to start our own company and moved up to Oregon. I have family here, and started Rogue Valley Micro Devices. There's a lot more to that story, but I know we don't have tons of time. So I want to give some time for you guys to answer, for me to answer questions, and kind of have a little bit of a conversation around really anything you want. If you have if you have questions about the industry or different types of technology or other things. Yeah.
Starting out as a new business, how did you do your marketing and stuff to get clients?
Oh, that was a harder process than I thought it would be. So the first thing that I did was we identified a couple of previous customers from the company that we worked with before, and I kept in contact with those maybe 6 or 7 companies, and it was 2 years, right, between when we left that other company, when we were able to be operational on our own. But maintaining those relationships were really critical. And then when we were able to start our website, that helped a lot, but I knew nothing about search engine optimization, right? Which was turned out to be more complicated than I thought. When we almost lost the company during the recession in 2008, one of the big pieces that saved us was a restructuring of our marketing plan, and that included a new website and really putting some strategic money into the marketing plan and search engine optimization. And I probably went through 3, maybe 4 different consultants before I found the right team to work with us. So it took a while.
Are all of your manufacturing operations local?
Yeah, they're all here. When we started with 2 machines. In our industry, the equipment's really expensive. So one machine might be $150,000, and then you have to have some measurement equipment that might take up another couple $100,000. So our initial investment was, I don't know, probably a little over $1 million to get operational, and then we buy pieces of equipment here and there, and then install that. But everything is here. We're over by the airport in Medford. And originally it was just like an open garage, roll-up doors, bare floor. The walls were completely unfinished, and so we built everything. We put down special flooring, we finished the walls, and then we put the clean room inside of that. So it's kind of a box inside of a box.
What steps did you take to get investors to help you start your business?
Yes, so that's a really interesting question, because at that time in the early 2000s, late 90s, there were lots of investment opportunities. There were VCs that were investing in companies. Those companies were building manufacturing facilities. The problem with that model is that it was really expensive. And when those companies started to go out of business, the investors said, no way are we investing in fabs, right? So if you're gonna start a company, we want you to work on technology development and actual product, and not spend money on manufacturing. And so by the time we started, there was no VC money or investment money for us. So we did everything on credit card. We had, I would say, we had remodeled a house in California and sold it, and we had some proceeds from that. It was about $180,000, maybe $200,000 that we put into the company. And then we borrowed money from our bank, which was located here, and then Soretti actually gave us a loan, which is our region's economic development district organization. So, and they have resources for startup companies. And so we kind of cobbled together all of this. And when we turned on our first piece of equipment, we had $13,000 in debt owed that month. We had $4,000 left in our line of credit, and one order for $700. $753, I remember exactly. I still have the check. And so it was rough at first. We were working, 15 hours, 16 hours a day. We would take turns coming in the middle of the night to make sure stuff was running. We had a lot of equipment failures. We had a lot of unanticipated expenses. So me, who grew up not knowing anything about mechanical stuff, I now know a lot about mechanical stuff because I've had to do it because I was only one of two people. So when it came time to take a piece of equipment apart or fix something, or I was the only one there, you know, you grab a wrench and you do what you gotta do. So we piped together, I've fixed vacuum pumps, I've helped to install equipment, and what it turned out is I really enjoy that type of work. It's actually really fun. And I'm glad I got the opportunity to do it. Anything else? You guys have to have more questions than that.
Where do you plan your business to be in 5 years?
Yeah, so we have a piece of property that we purchased. We are right now and I would invite all of you, really, if you're interested, you should come for a tour because it's pretty cool to see. But we're really packed into the space that we have. Because the infrastructure is so expensive to put together, we use every little square inch of what we have, and we're pretty much out. So we need to look at how we're going to expand our company from a footprint perspective, and then also figure out how to be more efficient while we're waiting to make that investment, or while we're building up enough cash to make that investment. One of the challenges we have now is in lead time. So we have a lot of customers that are now very dependent on us to be delivering products to them consistently. And sometimes if you have a piece of down equipment, if someone calls in sick, if something happens, even if you have to do maintenance, taking that equipment down for a day can make a big difference. And so we are starting to stock things on our shelf, the things that we know our customers buy consistently, and that's helping. But it's a slow process. So in 5 years, I really hope to have that problem solved and have some additional capacity to really support some of the new technology that's coming online. We had a customer visiting today. They were telling me that if their company does what it's supposed to do and grows the way they expect, you know, they're going to be requiring a good portion of our capacity, probably 25% of our capacity. And right now, we're already running at like 95. So it's so we have to think about ways to get around that and to support customers as they move forward. So I would hope that by that time we've got a little bit more space, not too much, because you don't want to be down at 50% because then you're only sort of breaking even. So somewhere between 65 and 75 is a nice sort of place to live, right? You have some extra capacity if you have somebody that comes to you that needs extra material, and it's less stressful for all of your staff and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When your business get started?
So we started in 2003.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give a young person starting off that you wish you would have known starting your company? Like, gosh, if I'd have known this would have saved me time, money, effort.
Oh, that's I would say there's probably not much that you're going to save in time and effort, because those are the two things that you need the most. There's no short way around this. We worked really, really hard, but we're now getting the benefit of that work. And the time, you know, that's how you learn, right? You have to go in and be willing to make mistakes and spend the time going through that process. As far as money goes, I would say if from a practical perspective, if you're buying things, go look at it. We made a huge mistake buying something at auction that we'd never seen before, and that cost us quite a bit of money. I would say when you're working with customers and you know, you're stressed, and you're working with suppliers and you're stressed, before you type out that, you know, irritated email and send it, take 5 minutes. That helped me a lot. I tend to be a little bit more you know, emotionally connected to my work, and that can sometimes be a detriment, right? You know, you really want to take that space and decompress and make sure that that you're handling. That, handling your supply chain and your customers with a little bit more sugar, less vinegar goes a really long way. Because when something goes wrong, if you handle it professionally, even if it's your fault, people remember. They don't remember all the good things you do, but they remember how you handle the bad things. And so that really makes a difference and helps to strengthen those relationships, even though it might be tough at the time. Did you have a question?
No, I'm good.
Are you good? Yeah?
How did you transition, or you're still in your business, but from that to the political aspect of it?
That started really, really slow. So after we almost lost the company in 2008, that was really tough. We went from we went from around $120,000 a month to $40,000 a month overnight. Like in 1 month, that was it. I'm like, did someone forget to invoice somebody? It just was completely almost gone. And we had to do a big layoff, and then we sort of restructured our marketing plan, and we kind of got back on our feet. But after that, I kind of picked my head up a little bit and started looking around the valley, and people were really, really struggling. And so there was a couple of people that I met at Rotary, and we got together with other business owners and said, we really need to do something to help our community. And we started a nonprofit organization called Sustainable Valley Technology Group. That was the mission was to support entrepreneurship, right? We knew there was a lot of really great people that were out of work, that maybe were thinking about what they're going to be doing. They had time, they had the knowledge, they had experience, but they didn't have anywhere to work. And so our idea was to help bring those people together and support new businesses to try to revitalize the community. And then it led to meeting a lot of people. We raised money. We went to Salem, and we raised money from the Governor's Strategic Reserve Fund. So that was a great experience. We really got to learn that process and what that's like. We worked with a lot of really cool companies that are still in business today and helped launch them. Ultimately, that organization kind of didn't make it. Mainly due to funding, right? Entrepreneurs we're all poor when we start out. We're the ones who need support, and so figuring out a funding model for a startup, organization like that was pretty challenging. But that's where I got sort of got to know a little bit more about economic development. I got invited to sit on a couple of boards that were appointed by the governor. Worked on state budget type of things, and then it just so happens that our landlord, where we started the company here over by the airport, is Alan DeBoer. So he owns that property, and so I met him early on, and we developed a relationship. And so when he decided not to run, he said, "Hey, you should really think about this. You have the right type of experience to do a good job," and so I decided to do it.
Are you gonna go back into politics?
I might, yeah. One of the things that I've made I tried to make a promise to myself early on that I would not say no to things that scared me, because if I did, I wouldn't do any of the things I've done in my life. It's scary to go out and start a company. It's scary to move to the West Coast by yourself. Those types of risks can have real consequences, and if you think too much about them, you'll never do anything in your life. And so that politics was something that you put yourself in a very vulnerable place to be able to do that, where you just open yourself wide up and say, okay, I'm here, everybody hit me with what you got. And it can be nasty, and it can be stressful. And that's a scary thing to do for someone. And I decided that if I was asked to do something that I thought I could make a real impact doing, that I would try to do the best that I can. And so that's why I continue to push myself. And so I probably will continue on. The timing has to be right, and all the other things like business has to be in good shape and all that stuff.
Anything else before we wrap up, guys? I know you gotta get to class. All right, well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Jessica.
thank you.